everybody, welcome back to Let's Talk Physical Media. My name is John. My co-host Faith will be with me in a little while, but we like to start this show off every single week with the news, and this week was actually kind of a busy week with news. We got the Criterion's May announcements, we also got some confirmations, we got some other announcements from some other companies, but we're going to start it off with something that got confirmed that we were talking about not too long ago. On April 30th, the Oceans Trilogy, that's Oceans 11, 12, and 13, are going to be coming to 4K Blu-ray. They got these beautiful 4K steelbooks that we got rumored a couple months ago. We actually talked about it here on the channel, but it's finally nice to get that confirmation that these are coming. A lot of us have been waiting for these Steven Soderbergh films to come to 4K Blu-ray for a very long time. I'm very surprised it actually took this long. The Oceans Trilogy is very, very popular. Obviously, Oceans 11 is still the most popular of all those films, but a lot of people enjoy 12 and 13. I haven't seen 12 since I saw it when it first came out. Same thing with 13. I haven't seen those movies in years. I revisit Oceans 11 though probably every single year, so I can't wait to check that one out in 4K Blu-ray. And April 30th is really shaping up to be a very, very good day for 4K Blu-ray collectors, because not only do we get the Oceans Trilogy on 4K Blu-ray, but we're also going to be getting Mean Girls, the original and the remake, on 4K Blu-ray.
That is so fetch.
And we're also going to get Arrow Video's release of Basket Case. So hopefully everybody's wallets have filled back up by the time we get to April, because April in general is getting a lot of great releases. We're getting the 70s version of King Kong. We're going to be getting one of my all-time favorite films, Major League, on my birthday, April 2nd. On April 23rd, we're getting Rolling Thunder, Nostalgia, and that's the date that we're going to be getting The Departed on 4K Blu-ray in a beautiful 4K steelbook. So April's just going to be really, really good if you're a 4K Blu-ray collector, but it's also going to hurt you financially. So I'm trying to save up some money for that month, because we got a lot of stuff to talk about when we get to April. Another thing that was actually announced for April is one of the most famous westerns of all time, High Noon, is going to be coming to 4K Blu-ray courtesy of Kino Lorber on April 16th. So we've been getting spoiled with a lot of great westerns coming to 4K Blu-ray, and really the western genre overall has translated very well at 4K Blu-ray. You know, those films were always shot so beautifully, so it's really awesome that we're going to be getting a lot more of these on 4K Blu-ray. Kino Lorber makes a lot of sense to be bringing it to us. And then, of course, we also got Criterion's May announcements, and there was a pretty good amount in there. The big one right off the top is Peeping Tom is going to be coming to 4K Blu-ray, and that's one we just talked about here on the channel on Friday. That one we talked about the Studio Canal 4K Blu-ray release. I anticipated it coming to the United States. I just didn't realize they were going to announce it that fast after the release of Peeping Tom from Studio Canal. And if you guys got that Peeping Tom 4K Blu-ray from Studio Canal, it should be the exact same scan. Looking at all the extras, they look like they're almost identical. I have to really sift through it to see if there's really any differences. I said in my 4K Blu-ray review that my favorite extra in there is the one that's actually talking about the restoration process for bringing Peeping Tom to 4K Blu-ray. I absolutely love seeing how they restore these films and what they actually have to go through. You really do appreciate the restoration process and appreciate them actually giving this to us in 4K Blu-ray. You know, it really makes us appreciate what these people have to do, and you know, we kind of take it for granted sometimes, especially myself. You know, I review all these 4K Blu-rays on the channel, and it's the same thing with films. I try not to be so hard on them. I think Bill Murray said this once, you know, making a good movie is really hard, and then also making a bad movie is really hard. Filmmaking in general is a very, very, very hard thing. It takes a lot of teamwork to make those things work, and it's also the same thing when we're restoring these movies to bring them to the beautiful 4K Blu-ray. That takes a lot of work from a lot of different people, and sometimes I do feel like we, including myself, take that for granted, so I really do appreciate that extra. So if you do pick up Peeping Tom on 4K Blu-ray courtesy of the Criterion Collection, definitely check that one out, because I really, really do think that is awesome. And that one is going to be released on May 14, 2024. But the other announcements are pretty cool, and actually one of them is a Best Picture nominee for this year in 2024, and that is 2023's Anatomy of a Fall. I actually haven't checked this one out yet. I keep waiting for it to go to a streaming service so I can actually see it, because it was only in theaters in my area for 1 week and I wasn't able to check it out. So maybe I'll just wait till this Criterion release. The only thing is that the Academy Awards would have happened by then, and I like to actually watch every movie that the Academy Awards are going to be talking about that day, and I still haven't seen Zone of Interest or Anatomy of a Fall. Even though Zone of Interest, which was directed by Jonathan Glazer, I have gone back and watched a bunch of his films recently, Under the Skin and Birth. Birth is a great movie until the very end. If you guys haven't seen Birth from 2004, that movie is fantastic. It really gets you thinking about, you know, such dark topics like reincarnation, death at a young age. I mean, it really does tackle some serious subjects, and it's a very, very well-made movie with Nicole Kidman doing a fantastic job, a great score. The problem is that the end of that movie will leave you absolutely unsatisfied. They really take the cheap way out. basically not to give you any answers whatsoever, and I really didn't appreciate that. But if you can get past the bad ending and the way we wrap that story up, Birth is a fantastic film. So I've been going back and watching a lot of Jonathan Glazer movies, but Anatomy of a Fall is a movie I absolutely have to check out. So maybe I'll wait till the 4K Blu-ray comes out. I'm not entirely sure, but I really do want to check that one out. And the other one is A Story of Floating Weeds / Floating Weeds. I have never seen this film, but Floating Weeds is a remake of A Story of Floating Weeds, which was a silent film that the director did. So he actually remade his own film. So that's actually really cool. It sounds like it's something really beautiful that I should check out. I don't know if I'll be grabbing that one day one. Maybe one day at a Criterion sale. Another one that was announced is Girl Fight. That's another film I unfortunately have not seen yet. And then this one, I'm going to butcher this guy's name, but it's 3 Revolutionary Films by Osaman Sembene. If I pronounce that wrong, I am so sorry. I really am. I have a hard time pronouncing some names. You guys have seen it here on the channel before. I know you guys have given me some flack in the comments about the way I pronounce certain words. You know, I live in New York. I have a weird accent. I know I've fixed how I say boutique. I still want to say boutique. In my mind, it's still boutique, but I know that it's pronounced boutique, so I've been saying boutique label correctly, but I do butcher some names, and I'm really sorry about that. But yeah, these are some good announcements. I'm really happy we're going to be getting Anatomy of a Fall and Peeping Tom on 4K Blu-ray, courtesy of the Criterion Collection. Those two really stand out, and like I said, if you have Peeping Tom, courtesy of Studio Canal, don't you guys worry about that, because you got the same scan. Although I do want to check that out and actually compare them, so I might double dip on it, even though I do think that Studio Canal does have the better box art, which they usually do. Studio Canal really does a great job with their artwork. That's one thing I've always appreciated, especially when it comes to the John Carpenter films like They Live or Escape from New York. I thought the Studio Canal versions were much nicer than the Shout Factory, Scream Factory versions. But you know what? You know, it's all subjective. It's art. All art is subjective. Movies are subjective. We all have different tastes. I have always preferred something that always stands out. I always prefer brighter colors. I'm sure you guys have noticed that about the channel. I'm a big 80s fan. In the 80s, it was just filled with bright colors. I'm not usually a huge fan of like flat colors that kind of just blend in with the background. No, I want something that's gonna stand out. That's why the 80s were filled with my favorite films, but I also really love artwork that really has like a lot of bright colors, neon colors, all that stuff just always stands out to me. So I think I still prefer a lot of Studio Canal's releases over Shout or Scream Factory's releases when it comes to box art. You know, the transfer's the same. I don't mind having the US releases. That way I could actually check out the Blu-ray that's packed in there. But still, sometimes I really wish that we could just take that box art and bring it over here to the United States. And the last announcement, and this wasn't confirmed by anybody yet, I just saw the picture online. I was floating through the artist formerly known as Twitter. I was floating through Instagram, and some people were posting a picture of American Pie coming to 4K Blu-ray. No official release date yet, and this is a Region B release, it looks like, or at least the box art is. It's still possible we might get a US release and a Region B release at the exact same time, but they were only able to get the picture of the American Pie artwork for the Region B release. Either way, I'm really glad that that is going to be coming to 4K Blu-ray. I was surprised about that, though. I didn't think that that would be coming anytime soon. Then I thought about it, and it's been 25 years since American Pie was first released, and that is absolutely incredible. I've seen this movie 1,000 times. You know, I've been kind of coming around the comedies coming to 4K Blu-ray. Usually I would say, like, hey, you know what, a comedy, it's not necessary to come to 4K Blu-ray. And even this film, I'm like, you know, I really want to see this again, so I will get it on 4K Blu-ray. I would have liked a really nice collection with the main 4 films in there, you know, American Pie 2, American Wedding, and American Reunion. You know, we could skip all the direct-to-DVD versions that came out in the 2000s that didn't feature the main cast except for Eugene Levy. But either way, to be getting the first American Pie on 4K Blu-ray, that is awesome. That is a classic film from the 1990s, and you know what? It probably hasn't aged that well since the 1990s, but you know what? It is a moment in time that a lot of people appreciated while they were growing up. It's hysterical. I can't wait to see that one on 4K Blu-ray, but again, that has not been confirmed yet. We still are waiting for a confirmation right now. It's just a rumor, but based on what we're seeing, it looks like that is going to be coming to fruition. But anyway, guys, that's going to do it here for the news this week. We're going to kick it over to me and Faith for this week's, you know, we're just going to chat a little while, and then we're going to answer some of your questions, and then we'll kick it back over to me for the rest of this week's questions. So make sure you stick around for that. And just a heads up, guys, next week's show is going to be pre-taped. We're going to be filming it sometime during the week because Faith and I are going to be going away. We're actually going on a Jay and Silent Bob cruise with Matt. If you guys remember on the channel, Matt got married to his lovely wife, Danielle. We're going with them on their honeymoon, and their honeymoon is the Jay and Silent Bob cruise to the Bahamas. So from this upcoming Thursday through the following Tuesday, I won't be around. I will still be responding to your messages. I'm going to get the internet package. All the videos that I'll be filming will be uploaded, so you guys will be able to still check them out. You guys shouldn't really experience any hiccups in your viewing. You know, I might have a little bit less videos, but you guys should still get enough out there for you guys to enjoy until I get back. And that also means for our digital code giveaway, if you guys enter that every week, we will not be revealing the winners on Monday. We will be revealing them on Wednesday. So just make sure you guys are aware of that. But next week's show might not have that much news. I'll try and film it as late as possible to get any news in as quick as I can. It'll be mostly a Q&A show. So if you guys have any extra questions, I already got plenty of them thanks to guys like Kevin Kruger, Mr. Smelly Potato, everybody who sent in questions. I do have a lot for next week as well, and I want to thank all of you. But if you guys have any questions, you want to know anything, leave those in the comment section below, and I'll just stop rambling and I'll kick it over to Faith and I right now.
Hey guys, well, I found Faith. She's here for the second part of the show, and we are just going to literally dive right into the Q&A portion because we got a lot of questions, and we'll have more questions next week. But Faith's not going to be on the show next week because, you know, like I said, we're going away. We're excited. We're going
I can't wait. We're going Bahamas.
Yeah.
We're going to be with Jay and Silent Bob.
$15, little man. Put that shit in my hand. If that money doesn't show, then you owe me, oh.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to do some podcasts, live podcasts. They're going to do some Q&As. They're going to do some script readings.
Yep, and you signed up for one of those, right?
I did, but, you know, I don't know if they're going to pick me. I'm sure that, you know, it's a lot. It's like 1,200 people on the cruise.
Yeah. I took a
something
pass
like
on that. I don't want to embarrass anyone else, you know.
I'm doing a wine tasting with somebody. I forgot who it was.
Oh, you signed up for the wine tasting?
Yeah, because Danielle told me she was doing it, so I bought it, and she said, "Oh, I forgot about it," and then it was sold out.
So now you're just doing it by yourself?
I am doing it by myself, but that's fine.
Oh, yeah, you'll have fun with that.
Yeah, the last vacation I went, I did a bunch of excursions by myself because my sister and my mom didn't want to do it.
I'll be laid out in the shade, definitely avoiding that ball of fire in the sky that's trying to murder me. And then once the sun starts setting, I'll be grooving.
When the sun goes down, you're feeling alright.
So we'll be having a good time. But anyway, let's get into these questions because we got a lot from me and Faith. And the first one's from Kevin Kruger, and he asked, how would you rank Faith's top 10 movies of all time, and how would Faith rank John's top 10 movies of all time? So here's my list. You could take my phone. Oh my God. How small is your font?
I mean, sorry.
It's all right. I got it.
Okay.
Okay, well, let's see. So for Faith, I'm going to go from the bottom up. Faith's number 10 for me is going to be... Wow, this is a great list. Unfortunately, I have to put Mrs. Doubtfire at number 10 of your all-time favorites. I mean, I like all these movies.
No, because you don't really like Grease.
Okay, you're right. Grease is number 10.
Like,
I didn't notice that Grease was on there.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Like I said, small font. No,
There's
Grease
some of these
absolutely.
I've never seen.
So you could just put those at the lower. So just pick one that you've never
Like
seen.
Paris, Texas, I never saw.
It's in my top 5. So that's number 10 then. So then number 9 for me then is Mrs. Doubtfire.
Chinatown.
Okay. All right. Well, number 8 for me, and I just started to like this movie after my last rewatch, but still, The Devil Wears Prada is number 8.
Okay, then I'm going to say Blade Runner.
At least I made it to number 8. At number 7, I'm going to go Step Brothers.
Okay. I'm going to go Poltergeist.
How dare you? Okay. And then at number 6, wow, this is tough. My Cousin Vinny. I love My Cousin Vinny, though. We quote that movie all the time. I actually use that clip in here all the time, too.
I'm going to say The Fugitive.
It's a great one.
Yeah, I like that movie.
Yeah, okay. And then I guess, starting off the top 5, Billy Madison.
Okay.
Nudie Magazine
I'm
Day.
going to say Pulp Fiction.
Wow, that's my number 2 all time. My number 4 on this list is going to be Mean Girls.
I'm going to say Poltergeist.
You already said
I said Poltergeist. I'm sorry. I'm going to say Batman. The Batman, not the Batman.
Just
Sorry.
Batman 89, yeah. Don't get them mistaken. And then I guess at number 3, what do I got left? Number 3, I'm going to put Clueless.
Okay.
Because that movie, it's a classic. I got to admit it. Every time I watch it, I really do enjoy it. It's a fantastic film.
I'm going to say The Terminator.
Number 3, huh? Yeah. Okay. And then at number 2, this is tough. I'm going to go with Scream. I love Scream. It's one of the greatest horror movies of the 1990s. It is the best horror movie of the 1990s. Only by Candyman, but still, Scream rejuvenated the horror for, modern horror. Without it, we wouldn't have what we have today. So it's an important film. So I'll put that at number 2.
Then I'm going to put Malcolm X.
Number 2.
Yep.
It's a classic. And then for number 1 in your top 10 all time, you have the greatest comedy on this list, Dumb and Dumber. So that's my number 1. Absolutely.
And then I have Goodfellas.
Goodfellas. To be a good fella.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster.
I was actually listening to a podcast this week about Goodfellas, and apparently Martin Scorsese had his mom on set. She was cooking dinner for everyone, and the way that Ray Liotta's collar looks early in the movie, that long white collar, Martin Scorsese would only have his mother iron it because she knew how to do it right. And I thought that was awesome. And apparently Martin Scorsese had to tie Ray Liotta's tie every single day. I don't know. I thought that stuff was fascinating. Because Ray Liotta, they didn't want him in the movie. Like, the guy who was producing the movie said, absolutely not, never. And then Ray Liotta apparently followed him to a diner and said, can I talk to you? And he convinced him to put him in the movie. Because they didn't want Ray, if you can believe that. I can't imagine anybody else but Ray Liotta being Henry Hill.
Yeah.
Can you?
No. I thought it was great.
He was
thought
amazing.
It was perfect.
It's one of the. I love Goodfellas. Might be the most rewatchable film of all time.
See, the movies that I picked are movies that and there's a few other ones, but I had to take them off the list. But
It's so hard to pick a top 10.
So these movies I can just watch at any time, any moment. Just put them on, and I don't get tired of them.
Oh, yeah, though, that's not necessarily what I think are the 10 best films ever made. Those are my 10 favorite films ever made.
Yeah.
Those, like, things that I run back to all the time.
Yeah,
or
like
have
I
an
can
emotional-
watch them. Like, there's certain movies that he's always like, you're watching that again? But there's certain movies I don't...
I was surprised that no Harry Potter made the list.
No, because they're not... I can rewatch them a lot, but they're not my favorite movies.
Oh, yeah?
They're up there.
Oh.
They're up there, but that's also a collection. You know what I mean?
So you can't watch one without watch. Like, that's how I actually feel about the Star Wars movies. That's why there's no Star Wars movies. I would say they're in like my top 20 or top 30 of all time, because if I'm watching A New Hope, then I'm watching Empire.
That's what I'm saying.
Then I'm watching Return of the Jedi.
Exactly. I can't start it with the third movie. I can't do it. I can't.
No, I understand that. The only movie I can bounce
Like
around
if I'm starting with Prisoner of Azkaban, it's like, why?
Yeah.
That there's certain ones I like better than obviously the first and second, but it's like, why? I have to see him getting picked up.
You have to just see it all, huh?
And seeing the family being a piece of shit to him.
Oh, the uncle is just the worst. And he always gets his comeuppance, thank God, because he is just an awful,
I love
awful
when
person.
he blows up the ant.
Oh, that's great. And she flies away.
She flies away.
He gets in trouble for that, though.
Yeah, because he used
You
magic.
can't use about.
But they just excused it.
Mud boys.
They were just like, that's all right.
That's Harry Potter.
Yeah, like that's what he got away with so much shit.
He was the boy. He was the one.
That was it.
He's basically Neo in that universe.
Like,
all right. That was a great question, Kevin. Thank you so much, buddy. And this one is from 021AM6. And this is Aces. This is for both of you. Everyone talks about best decades, but what was the best year in movie history? Mine would be 1993. Just look at these movies that came out that year. Jurassic Park, Schindler's List, The Fugitive, Groundhog Day, True Romance, Falling Down, A Bronx Tale, Carlito's Way, Mrs. Doubtfire, Cliffhanger, Hocus Pocus, Cool Runnings, Demolition
That
Man,
was a good one.
Sleepless in Seattle. I love Cool Runnings. Sleeping.
not Cool Runnings. Hocus Pocus.
Cool Runnings is better than Hocus Pocus. Sleepless in Seattle, Indecent Proposal, and The Last Action Hero. What a year. How lucky were these people in 1993 to have so many great movies to watch at the cinema? Man, today sucks. I completely agree. We were talking about that. Modern films just do not compare to what movies used to be like. Like that year, we will never get a list like that in 2024 where every single one of those films are a classic in its own way. But for me, I think the best year... Let me pull up my letterbox again. What do you think is the best year?
I don't look at years in the movie. Like, I don't know what years these movies came out. I know, like, they'll come out in the 90s or, like, the early 2000s, you know?
Yeah.
But I don't look at, like, exactly what date, like, that they, like, year they come out. I just say, like, the 90s, I think, have the best movies.
I agree in a way.
But I think that's only because that's where we grew up. So everything's always the best as a kid because that is your nostalgia era.
Well, true, but like I grew up in the 90s, but my favorite decade of
Is
film,
the 80s.
and I never even spent one day in the 80s. I have nostalgia goggles for a decade that I never even lived
I think it's
in.
because your parents were really big
80s fans.
people.
Probably. They just weren't movie people.
No.
No,
My
my
mom
mom-
liked movies.
My mom loves... Well, your mom's favorite movie is A Wonderful Life.
Yeah,
Your
my-
mother likes... Wait, no, this isn't true with you. You said everything with the 90s. You love old stuff. Like, you love old movies. Your favorite show of all time is I Love Lucy.
Yeah, but that's different.
What do you mean? You're nostalgic for stuff from the 50s and 60s.
No, I'm saying I think the 90s are the best era of movies because that's where I grew up. I don't really like old movies. I like old television.
That's true. You do like old television, which is weird. How do you like old TV, but like if I put a movie on?
Because it's like my ADHD. I can't concentrate for a long period of time. Like that's just me. So if you're giving me a show and you're giving me 25, 28 minutes of a TV show, I can concentrate, I can focus, I can put it all together.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I can turn it on, turn it off when I want. You can't do that to a movie.
No, you're right.
You got to sit there and you got to watch it through.
You're 100% right.
Even when it comes to me reading, sometimes my ADHD...
Really? You sit there and read for hours?
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I've been doing this for so long, but I have to listen to the book. I can't sit down and read it.
No,
you
I
get what I mean?
Yeah, I have that problem too. But with movies, I can always focus. I just need to be doing something with my hand, which is weird, which is why the stress ball helps. I don't know why. Like, it's just I always need to be doing something with my hand. That's why I'll end up eating a whole bag of chips while watching a movie, because A, I'm an animal.
If you guys have any suggestions for that, too.
What?
Like, if we're sitting down, because I always get bored. I want to eat something.
Yeah.
So if you guys have any suggestions...
No, a stress ball, I'm telling you. Just something, or a fidget spinner, anything to do with your hand. Just do something with your hand. Just because you know what it is? That's today, which really bothers me, is everyone just grabs their phone naturally, which, I'm addicted to my phone too, but I try not to do that when I'm watching a movie. So I just try and use my hand for something else.
Yeah.
Just because, unfortunately, I've messed up my brain like everybody else with these cell phones. But back to the question, I think the best year of film, and it's kind of cliche at this point, is 1994. Let me just read off the list. First of all, nominated for Best Picture that year, and won by Forrest Gump. You also had... what the fuck? The Shawshank Redemption.
Shawshank Redemption. Chicago! You're out of there!
Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
You also had the big three Jim Carrey movies that year. You had Ace Ventura in February, you had The Mask in July, and then in December you had Dumb and Dumber. You had Leon the Professional that year. Speed came out that year. Natural Born Killers, and then Three Colors Red and Three Colors Blue came out that year, which are some of my favorite movies of all time. Dumb and Dumber, like I was just saying. Clerks came out that year. The Crow came out that year. Like, these are all movies I watched. In the Mouth of Madness. These are movies Ed Wood. Like, this lit. Four Weddings and a Funeral. Three Colors White. The Santa Claus.
Have you seen Four Weddings and a Funeral?
Numerous times. Love that movie. That
Have you seen the show?
No, I've only seen the movie. I don't want to ruin the movie.
The show is great, too.
You sure?
Yeah, I watched it. I didn't even watch the movie.
You've never seen the movie? Oh, so we're opposites. I've only seen the movie.
I watched the show.
Movie's fantastic. True Lies, Reality Bites. I mean, my God, I can go on and on about 1994. It's Shallow Grave. Oh my God. Legends of the Fall. I do not like. Okay, it's starting to get a little...
Whatever year Clues came
here's
out,
a movie.
that's my favorite.
That's 1995, I want to say.
Serial Mom.
Serial Mom, that's one you showed me.
I love that movie.
Let's see. I think Clueless is 95.
Pussy Willow.
Yeah, this is 95, Faith. Look, you get Seven, Toy Story.
Good. See, I told you the 90s.
Clueless is 95.
I told you.
Heat is 95. Lahane, which we've been actually... This guy who actually wrote, or this guy or girl who wrote in this question, they actually have been telling me about Lahane, so I cannot wait to watch that movie. Man, yeah, 95 Usual Suspects, good year too. So for me, it's 1994, 100%. Thank you so much for that question, buddy. I really do appreciate that. It really gets me thinking. I went down the list, but yeah, we just don't get movies like that anymore. Here's one that you'll appreciate. This is from Uncle V. And I know,
man.
So Uncle V, he's actually a real friend of ours. And he's actually giving us a ride to the airport on Tuesday. If you know anything if you know anything about Uncle V, man, like, his sense of humor and what he's interested in is one of a kind, but he's one of the greatest people on this planet. And he wrote, "Hello, what are your thoughts on Tinto Brass? Are you a fan, and what is your favorite work of his?" So Tinto Brass is an Italian director, and, at first he kind of started out making very conventional films, but then eventually he ended up becoming a very erotic film director.
Oh, jeez.
So this is right up Uncle V's alley. So I thought I saw Paprika, which is his 1991 film. I saw a different Paprika, not the one that he directed, and the one he directed actually got a full-blown porn remake in 1995, if you can believe that one. So, yeah, Uncle V, unfortunately, I have not seen any of his work. I'll have to look into it, but yeah, definitely, I was going down the list, other than Paprika, which I was wrong about.
He has to just do that, right?
I don't know if he's just doing it. I think he might be just doing it, but no, he really likes a lot of these movies. He's not even kidding. Like, he watches Lars von Trier movies. Like, he's serious. He watches all these movies. He's interested in...
Simple pleasures like butter in my ass, lollipops in my mouth. That's just me. That's just something that I enjoy.
I don't know, unconventional stuff, we'll just say. You know, that's the nicest way to say it. So, thank you, Uncle V. I'm sorry I don't know too much about him, but you know what? I'll definitely look into it, buddy. Appreciate it. And we'll see you in a couple days. This is a good one. Mr. Smelly Potato wrote, what is a technology from movies or TV shows you wished existed in real life and technology you're glad doesn't? And then, so what do you wish? For me, it's always going to be a time machine. I would love a time machine.
That's awesome. But I don't know if you ever watched this Disney movie. It's called The House or, oh my God, but The House Came Alive.
The House Came Alive?
Yeah.
What do you mean The House?
It was like a electronic house. Like it. Oh my God! So back in the 90s, obviously this was the future.
Oh yeah, well we were always predicting.
But the house literally was like a maid. It like cleaned up for you. It did anything, but it became alive.
I've never. Did it have emotions?
Hold on, I'm gonna find the name of this. So it's called Smart House, and it's pretty much like a maid. Mm-hmm. And the house cleans up the house, but then it becomes alive, and it like comes like overprotective of him.
Oh really?
And it's like gets a little dangerous. So but it's like AI.
Really?
It's AI.
Yeah, well, that's one thing I do not like, and it's already here.
Kathy Sagal.
Kathy Siegel?
Siegel.
Yeah?
Yeah, she was the maid.
Angie Cooper, age 9, 52 inches tall, 62 pounds, blonde hair.
The girl from...
She was Smart House, yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I love her. She's great on, what's that show from the 90s? All of My Children, was that it?
Married with Children?
Married with Children, and then she was great on Sons of Anarchy.
The guy from the Leprechaun Disney show, he was the main character.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but it's Smart House. But, I mean, obviously it's a kid movie, but I wish we had that, where your house can just clean for you. We're getting there, but it becomes alive, the house.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I've never even heard of this movie.
I wish we had something like that.
That would be awesome. I just want a time machine. I want to travel back and forward in time and just see what's going on, stop there for a little while, and then, hopefully not
forward, maybe, not back.
Back, I would go as far back as the 80s. I wouldn't go too far back. Like, obviously, this country has not been great to black people, so I'm not going to take you. I'm going to say, Faith, listen, we're getting in the time machine. We're going to Mobile, Alabama, 1961. We're getting in right now. We're going to have a good time. Faith won't be coming back.
No. Well, you might not either.
Oh, no, that's right. They did frown upon interracial relationships. That's my fault. I forgot about that. But, yeah, that's the technology I don't want. So... Yeah, I mean, I want a time machine, but I also don't want AI. Unfortunately, that's already here. And he also asked, out of the following ones, one has to stay and one has to go, so it's a head-to-head. Speed or The Matrix?
Matrix can go.
Matrix can go? Speed has to go for me, and I love them both. Step Brothers or Talladega Nights?
Talladega Nights.
That's the one that's going?
Yeah.
Step Brothers for me is gone.
Wow.
Catalina fucking wine mixer. First Blood or The Predator?
Predator.
You're keeping Predator?
Yeah, I'm keeping Predator.
Wow, I have to get rid of Predator. First Blood's a master. Oh, that's the hardest one. I love both those movies almost equally, but First Blood is Stallone's best movie, so I'm going to have to take Stallone. Ooh, well, I already know you're into this one. Mrs. Doubtfire or Tommy Boy?
Mrs. Doubtfire, easy.
Yeah, I'm keeping Mrs.
That's
Doubtfire,
easy.
too. I love Tommy Boy, though.
Brothers don't shake hands. Brothers gotta hug.
I like it, but no, it's no Mrs. Doubtfire.
God. I'd probably quote Tommy Boy more than Mrs. Doubtfire, though.
What did he say? One scoop or two with the mask.
And which is actually an accident. Like, that mask, like, he was supposed to put his face in, but, like, he improv that because it was falling off. So the lines he's saying, one scoop or two, was actually him improving.
Oh, I love him.
Well, Robin Williams is known for his improv. I know.
We lost him. It's
like
way too
one
early.
of the greatest ones of all time. And then the last one is Beavis and Butthead or The Simpsons?
Simpsons, I keep.
Yeah, I'd keep The Simpsons, too. I wasn't the biggest Beavis and Butthead fan.
Either. No.
Okay. So, that's,
Do you think that's where the characters Jay and Sally and Bob came from, kind of?
From Beavis and Butthead? No, I think I'm pretty sure Jay and Silent Bob was first.
Really? Beavis and Butthead?
Jay and Silent Bob was in Clerks in 1994. I'm pretty sure Beavis and Butthead started
But Beavis and Butthead was in
the 90s.
MTV in the 80s, no?
No, 1990. Okay, so they're basically around the same time. Beavis and Butthead's first season was 1993, but they were filming Clerks in 1993.
Oh, okay.
So there's no way.
They have similar.
Well, it's the 90s,
Yeah.
like the 90s were full of people.
Remember Daria?
Yes.
I love Daria.
I knew you would. I like that show too, but she was just always so mopey.
Yeah, that's the Daria was the best because she was the first emo kind of girl,
well,
like
so
depressed.
so much stuff
cartoon.
came out of the 90s, like characters, like that. That's why.
Well, but that's where, because we had grunge, and she was grunge.
Yeah. But that's just, everyone was just wearing those like long clothes.
And then you had her sister who was like preppy.
God. Of course, because they didn't get along. You were probably a big As Told by Ginger fan, weren't you?
Oh, I love that.
I knew it.
Yeah, I love that show.
I hated it. It would come on Sunday.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
It would come on Sunday nights. I'd be like, oh, come on. I don't want to watch
love
it.
As Told by Ginger.
Ruins Sunday nights for me. I was like, yes, that's the only show I'd want. And I love Nickelodeon. I was a Nicktoons kid growing up, so like that was my channel. I watched Snick every Saturday night, Cousin Skeeter, Keenan and Kel, all that stuff was my favorite. And I wasn't a Disney person. That's why you talking about Smart House? I don't remember that at all.
Yeah.
I remember one Disney movie specifically in my head, and that's a movie I can't even find it. I don't even know if this existed. I might have made it up. But a guy who was a hockey player, he ends up dying, and he like gets reincarnated as a figure skater. Like somehow he comes back to life as a figure skater at the same exact time.
I don't remember that one.
No, I saw this, and then he's trying to like build up a.
You know Johnny Tsunami.
I've seen Johnny. Yeah, I've seen the big ones. What's that Halloween Town? Like,
Halloween Town.
like I saw the big ones that everybody saw, but like they used to put these on every Friday night.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure, and I'm telling you, never got.
They had us in a chokehold in the 90s and early 2000s where they would have a movie, one like big movie come out like once a month.
Yeah, I know that was
like
crazy.
They would have like a bunch of like I remember Cheetah Girls. In the early 2000s.
That was a Disney one?
Yeah, Cheetah Girls was early 2000s.
Oh, wow.
I remember that. That was like, I was singing Cheetah. I mean, I was like, what, 14?
Yeah.
But I was just like.
I mean, when we started dating, Faith hung on to the Disney Channel way too long. Faith was 23 when we started dating. And I would go to her house, and she'd be sitting on the bed watching Disney Channel. Like, we were watching shows like Socks and Sandals. What show was that? Zendaya was on that show. What is that show? Oh my God! Shake It Up, Shake It Up, Chicago.
I really didn't watch Shake It Up, Chicago.
We were quoting.
Maybe I know Socks and Sandals are from. What are the? Oh my God! Socks and Sandals are from the one skinny and one hefty guy.
It's not Drake and Josh.
Drake and Josh.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, Socks and Sandals. I believe it from Drake and Josh.
That was my last Nickelodeon show. Was Drake and Josh. That was.
Well, let me look it up. Let me find out and see.
And then what was the other one? Something Charlie with the baby. We watched that one. Good Luck Charlie.
Good Luck Charlie. I didn't really watch that, but. I mean, a lot of times I would put the Disney on,
and it was just on in the background.
Just in the background.
I guess I was just sitting there. You know, cell phones were at the time kind of like we had smartphones, but not everyone had them. So I was just sitting there watching.
No, it's actually just like a song. It's from like a group.
Bringing back socks with sandals. What? Socks with sandals. Bringing back socks with sandals.
Oh, really? I thought it was from. I could have swore it was from Shake It Up, Chicago.
I think.
What's the other girl's name on that show? Bella Thorne. She's
Bella
still
Thorne.
around.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
She's big too.
OnlyFans, right?
She's an actress too. She's in.
I've seen her in
American Horror.
Stories,
yeah.
Star, yeah. But she's not as big as Zendaya.
Oh no, yeah.
Did you see her dressed like C3PO?
I thought she looked pretty.
Oh, she pulled it off.
I thought no one could pull that off.
Oh yeah,
and
no,
then
she pulled
did.
it off.
Because when you said, "Oh, look what she was wearing," I'm just like, "Oh."
I just can't look at it.
But then, like, I was like, "She still looks good."
Well, it's Zendaya. When doesn't she look good? But
no, a lot of people try to wear certain things and then it doesn't work, but it worked for her.
Oh, it's Zendaya.
Yeah,
I mean,
some people it doesn't.
She
work
wore
for.
that, and then I was just watching a clip of her and like most of the cast, like Batista, Timothy Chalamet, and somebody else. They were all sitting down, Florence Pugh, and they were sitting down talking about the dude popcorn buckets, and she's just sitting there in a t-shirt and jeans, and I'm just like, God damn, she is gorgeous. Like I'm talking. I mean, my God, she's lucky I'm married. But anyway, I'm going to go kick this over to me and I'll answer the rest of the questions. And again, guys, if you didn't see your question answered this week, that's because next week's show is just going to be really a full-blown Q&A because we're going to be away. So any questions you got, if you didn't see it this week, it'll be on next week's show. And any more questions you guys want me to answer, feel free to leave them in the comments because Fate's not going to be here on next week's show because unfortunately, like I said, got to film that show whenever I can and Fate's got to work. We got a lot of stuff to do before our vacation.
Goodness, yeah.
So don't worry, we won't leave you in the dark and kick it over to John. So I'll see you guys around and, well, Fate will see you
later.
And the first solo question this week comes from Kevin Kruger, and he asks, if someone paid you $1 million to sell your Blu-ray collection, and also you can't buy movies anymore, would you do it? And honestly, no, I probably would not do it. One of my biggest joys in the world is my movie collection and just being able to rewatch all of my movies. And I'm also very afraid that something is going to happen in the future where my physical media collection is going to really come in handy. You know, we talk a lot on this channel about owning physical media and how it's important because streaming services, they can take things down. They can just erase stuff from history and pretend it never happened. While with your physical media collection, once it's in the collection, it's there. It's yours forever. They can't change it. It is what it is. And, you know, you'll always have it. If the power goes out and you got a generator, you got no internet, you could still watch your Blu-rays, your 4K Blu-rays. If you have a VHS player, you can watch your VHSs, whatever it is. Either way, you own that stuff physically. It's yours. You can make the best of it. So in any certain situation, at least you have your physical media collection. As long as you have power, a TV, and a way to play it, you're all good. You don't need the internet. So of course, I'm a huge supporter of physical media. That's what this channel is. This show is Let's Talk Physical Media. So absolutely love that, but I don't think I could sell it for $1 million. I want to be 100% honest with all of you. I really could use $1 million at this point because that would solve a lot of my problems.
I want money, lots and lots of money.
But I actually couldn't get rid of my physical media collection. I love having my movies. You know, it's something that really brings me joy. Honestly, film in general is my biggest joy in life. I love movies. There's something that can really turn my whole day around. If I'm having a bad day and I come home and I put on either the Terminator or Batman 89, it's always going to turn my frown upside down no matter what. Just because those movies have brought me so much joy throughout my entire life that it's really hard for me not to have that in the other room for me to always be able to grab it and put it in. I would have to rely on streaming services, and it just does not feel the same. I'm sure a lot of you guys experience this as well, going through the streaming carousels over there, just going one movie after another movie after another movie, or show after show after show. It's just not the same as going over to your shelf, pulling a movie out, just appreciating that box art. Especially now with all these boutique labels, we get some great box art on there, and you really appreciate it. You know, it might only be for like a minute that you're looking at it, but for some reason, standing in front of your shelf and looking at something that you're holding physically just means a lot. It really does feel special, and to eliminate that from my life,
No, I don't think I will.
$1 million isn't worth something that I love so much. So even though I could really use $1 million, there's a lot of stuff I would sell for $1 million, but my movie collection is not one of them. You want my car, you want, I don't know, what else you want? You want a kidney or two? That I'll sell for $1 million. That's something that's not really special to me, but my movie collection, that means the world to me. So I don't think I could do that. So, and, you know, I'm not like attached to every single movie in my collection. There's some movies I wouldn't mind selling, but overall, the entire collection, no, I just could not do it. So that's a great question, Kevin. Thank you so much, buddy. And this is from Lord Raiden, and we're going to be continuing in our talk about Guardians. And this is what Lord Raiden said. How mad should I be that I'm not getting a Guardians 4K? P.S. If anyone watching hasn't figured out what's going on, get on Amazon, order that Shout Factory Blu-ray for Guardians. You need to experience this. You can't just watch it. You need to experience it. Best $9 you've ever spent. So what we're talking about is this movie. I made sure to get the Blu-ray out this week, but we're talking about this film, Guardians. This movie was a Russian release, and they were trying to capitalize on the superhero boom. This was released in 2017, and they had big plans for this one to be a franchise. They thought it was going to be the next MCU, to the point that they actually completely ripped off the MCU in this movie. But the movie had a high budget, looks amazing. I mean, it really does. This Shout Factory Blu-ray is also really, really good. Like he said, the best $9 you'll ever spend. And it's just fascinating to watch this movie and what they did. You know, it's got a dub on it, so if you guys don't like subtitles, you can watch it with the dub as well. But either way, the special effects, the CGI, yes, of course, it's very noticeable CGI, but you can see that there was a lot of money behind this, and they even set it up for us to get a sequel to it, which was never going to come. But if you can get behind this movie, like I said in the past, it is very cheesy, very over the top, very ridiculous, but highly, highly, highly enjoyable. And just from a curiosity standpoint, what happened with this movie, it is just very fascinating. There is a review here on the channel if you want to get my full thoughts on it, but what he's talking about is this movie, and he actually reached out to Shout Factory. We talked about this last week for the possibility of a 4K Blu-ray, because again, it's shot great and it sounds great, so it would actually translate very well to the 4K format, but not every movie can come to 4K Blu-ray, unfortunately. And actually something that did get announced this week that we didn't talk about, but I wanted to talk about it here, because on the artist formerly known as Twitter, which is, you know, kind of a cesspool, so you don't want to take that on face value, but something that a lot of of people like to talk about on there is movies just coming to Blu-ray that don't get 4K Blu-ray releases. Now, unfortunately, and I don't like this either, but, you know, one thing is that this is a business. Everything is a business. Everything comes down to money. So they have to do, I'm sure they got spreadsheets in front of them. I'm sure somebody is doing some profit analysis, and they decide what movies would actually make money on 4K Blu-ray. They decide what movies to bring to 4K Blu-ray and decide how many copies of each to print, because, you know, you want to make sure you're going to sell through all of them. And a movie that got announced for just a regular Blu-ray release this week is Fletch, and they also announced Fletch Lives, which I don't really enjoy that much. I mean, it's still more Fletch, but it's not the same. The original Fletch is a 1980s comedy classic.
Oh, come on, guys. It's so simple. Maybe you need a refresher course. Hey, it's all ball bearings nowadays.
I have the Blu-ray on my shelf. I would love to update that to 4K Blu-ray, but they announced that Fletch and Fletch Lives from Kino Lorber is going to be just giving us them on regular Blu-ray. These are going to be a new 2K scan of it, which I'm really excited about. I'm definitely going to grab that. I want to see what Fletch looks like with this new scan. I would obviously love it on 4K Blu-ray, but not every movie just can come to 4K Blu-ray. They have to decide if it's worth it, if it's going to make money for the studio, because the thing is we need these studios to make money. That's why I try and tell you guys, like, sometimes you got to speak with your wallet. If there's something out there that you really, really love, these people do need money. This world runs on money. I wish it didn't. I speak against that all the time, how greedy corporations are. It really bothers the hell out of me, but unfortunately, this is the system that we've all somehow agreed to, and we have to give people money for them to keep giving us the product that we want, and they have to decide what movies are best to bring to 4K Blu-ray. And Guardians is one of those movies that I imagine not a lot of people know about. That's why we try and promote it a little bit here on the channel, because it's not that well seen. You know, this was a Russian release that bombed at the box office, so you need people to talk about those kinds of movies, and then maybe once it gets a bigger cult following, like Psycho Goreman, like that movie I would love on 4K Blu-ray, but there is absolutely zero chance that ever gets a 4K Blu-ray release, because about me and 40 other people on this planet know about that movie, and that's just the way it is, unfortunately. You know, once something gets like a bigger cult following, Vinegar Syndrome might put their eyes on it, and then eventually that might come to 4K Blu-ray, but, you know, for the most part, studios are only going to make decisions that are going to benefit their company, and that does make sense, even if we don't like that. So that was a great question, and I really do appreciate that, buddy. Thank you so much, Mr. Raiden, or Lord Raiden, I'm sorry. And this is going to be the last solo question for this week. We'll finish up next week with the rest of the questions, and like I said, if you guys have any more questions you want me to answer, I'll probably be filming on like Tuesday or Wednesday next week's show. So any more Q&A questions? So Kevin sent me in a bunch of questions, and Kevin, I want to thank you so much for doing that, buddy. I really do appreciate that. It gave me plenty of subjects to talk about for next week, and one that I'm really looking forward to talking about. It might be one of the main subjects for next week is about the younger generation, you know, Gen Z, Gen Alpha. I don't know how old those people are, but I know about Gen Alpha and how they collect physical media and how they don't seem to be into it. Now, we'll talk more about that. There are some actual Gen Z viewers of this channel that I have spoken to, but we'll talk more about that next week, and maybe I'll reach out to them and find out why they decided to start collecting physical media. So I'll do my research on that one. I'm really looking forward to that, but thank you everyone who sent in questions for next week, and if you want to send more, leave those in the comments section. So this is the last question for this week, and it comes from Kevin Kruger, and he wrote, what are some movie genres you would like to watch more of? So my least favorite genre has always been musical. I'm just not a musical guy. I try and get behind them, even movies like Grease. I just don't enjoy them. Like, I watch Grease, I appreciate Grease. When I was in the 7th grade school chorus against my will, we sung the entire Grease soundtrack to the world. I just don't appreciate Grease enough. I really should. I know that's a fantastic film. One of my friends, that's his favorite film of all time. I think he's dressed up with his daughter as characters from that movie every single year. I think he switches between characters with her. So it's something that a lot of people love. Matt, who used to do this channel with me, loves it. My wife, Faith, loves it. Most people love musicals. And I guess, you know, maybe not coming around on it, because we're getting a lot of musicals lately, like the Mean Girls remake, Wonka, the remake of The Color Purple. They were trying to hide in the trailers that these movies are musicals. They don't want to tell you that. Even with the most recent trailer that we saw at the Super Bowl last week, which I know we didn't talk too much about it, but man, that trailer for Deadpool and Wolverine, I cannot wait. That is still my most anticipated film of 2024. I kind of got that superhero rush that I used to get that's kind of been fading over the last few years. I think they're going to stick the landing. I think we're in good shape. But another thing that we saw was the first trailer for Wicked. Wicked is based on a Broadway play. There are a lot of musical scenes in that movie. The trailer didn't tell you that, but it seems like Hollywood wants to bury the fact that a lot of their films coming out are musicals, which is weird. One of the cornerstones of Hollywood is the musicals. I mean, Singing in the Rain is one of the most famous musicals of all time.
Glorious feeling, I'm happy again.
I personally really like Singing in the Rain. That is one of the rare musicals I absolutely enjoy. That one. And my all-time favorite is La La Land. I haven't seen every musical, mainly because when I see them coming out, or even the old ones, it's not something that I've even wanted to like check out all the classics, mainly because I just kind of get taken out of them. They're just not for me. But I do know that musicals are very important, and as somebody who is a film critic and reviews movies for a living, or at least part of his living, I really need to buckle down and watch more musicals, and maybe I'll learn to love them. Because one thing I'll tell you guys is I'm a huge Western fan. Until I was about 21 years old, I really didn't like Westerns. They weren't my thing. You know, they're paced very slowly, and they're probably not something that kids should be watching anyway. Even though I came to a lot of R-rated films at a very young age, even older films at a very young age, Westerns just never really stuck with me until I was about 21 years old. I used to watch this show called The Top 10 Show, and they gave a full rundown of like their top 10 favorite Westerns. And then I watched all of those Westerns, and I just fell in love with the genre. I mean, now I would say that Westerns are probably one of my favorite genres of all time. I think you do have to be a little bit older to appreciate Westerns. That's what I always tell people, is like, if you haven't given Westerns a shot in a very long time, maybe try them now. You know, you've gotten older, and I feel like they give a good reflection of what life is in general anyway, even though it takes place in the Old West. I do feel like they're usually broad character studies and just really appreciate what life was like. And of course, you know, some of them are very over the top and ridiculous, but I love those as well. So anyway, that's a genre that I eventually came around to. So maybe that will happen with musicals. That's the genre that I probably need to see more of, is definitely musicals, because there are so many in classic film history that I haven't checked out yet. So that's the genre I need to see more of. Everything else, like sci-fi, horror, like I will check out even the shitty ones when it comes to sci-fi and horror, just because those are my favorite genres. When it comes to dramas, I'll pretty much check them all out, because that overall, I guess, is kind of my favorite. Or at least, you know, when it comes to critically reviewing stuff, you have to see all of those films, because that's what all the award shows like to talk about anyway. They really just ignore sci-fi, action, and horror, which really does annoy me, but I've pretty much checked them all out. I've really buckled down and watched a lot of international films over probably the last 5 years. Fell in love with international cinema. I know a lot of people, it's really hard to get on board with that because of the subtitle thing, but still, if you can get on board, you will open a lot of doors to a lot of great films. International film is some of my favorite films, and a lot of them are rising up into my favorite films of all time. That's how good they are. And if you close that door, you're really leaving a lot of films on the table that you might absolutely love. And I understand the complaint with subtitles, but if you can just get past that, you will absolutely love international films, and I can always give you guys some recommendations on that. We don't really get to review those here on the channel because a lot of people don't love international films, so every chance I get to do them, I absolutely will. And this was a great question, Kevin. Thank you so much, buddy. And thanks to all of you. I really hope you guys enjoyed this show, and if you did, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, share this video, turn notifications on, maybe consider becoming a channel member to really help this channel out, help grow it to a bigger community. You know, that way I can keep reviewing more and more films. The more people that watch these videos, the more I can review films for you guys, and I would really love to do that, review more physical media. That's the stuff I absolutely love to do in this world, and it really is because of all of you. So thank you guys all so much. So make sure you guys, if you want to support us financially, we do have 3 different tiers. We have the Friends of the Channel tier, we have the Producers tier. That's where you're going to find John Doe Juggalo, Jason Martin, and Mr. Smelly Potato. We also have a Directors tier where you'll find Frank's Medium Reviews. He's a great guy also, so make sure you guys head over to his YouTube channel, check him out. He really does some great unboxings and some reviews. He's new in the YouTube community, so you know he needs all the support he can get, so please head over there, check him out. You won't regret it, I promise you. And after you're done doing all of that, why don't you guys get out in those streets and tell your friends about us, and after you're done doing that, we'll be seeing you around.